Hello, my archery friends. I am Lucy Morris, and welcome to another episode of the FlyingArcher.com, which is sponsored by New England School of Archery and Supplies, LLC. We have an amazing guest for you today, James Frazier. Jim Frazier from Kansas City, Missouri, is the Missouri State ASA Director and has been doing archery since the mid-1990s, and he is currently competing as a semi-pro. Jim is working as a heavy equipment operator in a local 101 union for the past 20 years. Jim has been married to his beautiful wife, Barbara, for 21 years, and they have 3 amazing children. Jim is an avid whitetail hunter with 16 Pope and Young trophies ranging from 128 to 165. Jim has competed in archery since 2004, starting at a local 3D indoor and field events. In 2007, Jim shot his first ASA in open sea and worked his way up through the classes to semi-pro, where he competed for 4 years until he turned 50. Jim is now currently competing in the senior pro division. Wow. Hey, welcome, Jim.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Hey, we have a lot to discuss, and please welcome from Kansas City, Missouri, Jim Frazier. Hey, Jim, I just gave a brief overview and bio. So, Jim, sit back, relax, take a few minutes, and tell us a little about your background and how you got into archery.
Oh gosh. I was an avid rifle hunter. I actually grew up quail hunting with my father. There were no deer around when I was a kid. And it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s that I actually took up rifle hunting for deer with my father. And we did that for several years, and it didn't take long for me to figure out that one weekend or basically 1 week of the year wasn't enough time in the woods for me. I became just really enthralled with being in the woods. And
There's something very beautiful about the woods.
It is. It's very peaceful. It just kind of reconnects you. And from that point, I had a good friend that I went to high school with who was into bow hunting. And I went to him and just strictly for advice on how to get started, just for the fact that I had figured out that would give me 3 months in the woods as opposed to a week. He took me to a local pro shop, and I bought my first bow, which was a Browning Mirage. Started shooting with fingers and quickly figured out that I needed a release.
A little more accurate.
Yeah. And the addiction started there. And from there, in the beginning, I was happy with being able to hit a pie plate at 20 yards because that meant that I could put a kill shot on a deer. And I just started hanging out in the local pro shop and meeting different guys up there, and that turned into every Saturday in my backyard, 2 or 3 of us would shoot. Well, you know how when you get 2 or 3 guys together, the competition starts. And I just became addicted to watching that arrow fly. And in about 2004, a friend who is actually one of the bow dudes, Thunder, he came into the bow shop, and we got him set up with a bow, and he started coming over here on weekends and learning how to shoot, and decided he was going to take it to the next level and went to a local 3D. Well, it took him about 6 months to get me talked into it, because at that time, all I had ever heard was, oh, they're just a bunch of pencil pushers. You don't want anything to do with that. And once he got me to my first one, it was all over. I was addicted. And just has grown from there.
So Jim and I are going to sit back and talk about archery for a while here. And if you're listening while driving your car, don't worry, I'll take all the notes for you so you can hold on to the wheel. And I will have the links and resources on my blog, theflyingarcher.com. Now, you are also a podcaster, and with the Bow Dudes, want to just tell us a little bit about the Bow Dudes, how you guys got together?
The Bow Dudes are basically just a bunch of us that have met over the years through archery, became friends. We've all competed with and against each other, and for the most part. And the way that started was when Twitter first came about. We would all throughout the day
You guys would be tweeting each other?
We were tweeting each other back and forth, kind of in our closed group, and we were having conversations about archery. And Jack Gibson decided, hey, we talk about this all day long. We might as well record these conversations. And so basically, we're just five buddies that gather around at one of the guys' houses. It could be my place or Jack's place or Jim Forbes' place. And we try to put out some good information all the while joking around and kicking each other and making fun of each other and having a good time with it.
Oh, that sounds like fun and actually really great to listen to. I've listened to a couple of your podcasts. And want to tell me a little bit about what kind of bows you like?
I'm a compound shooter, and
oh, you're one of them.
Yes. I actually do have an ancient Ben Pearson recurve, and I have.
It's okay to be a compound shooter. I'm okay with it.
I also have a handmade self bow that the guy that originally got me into archery made for me.
Oh.
And it's rattlesnake skin backed, and it's so pretty. I just hate to shoot it. But I currently shoot a Hoyt Podium X37. And I've shot Hoyt for, since 2006. I have nothing against other brands. It's just what I've shot and what I know.
Do you have a favorite gadget that you like for your bow?
Right now, I just got a new sight for it a couple of weeks ago. I had a sight that, I'd had for forever, and it finally wore out on me. And the week before Foley, Alabama's ASA Pro-Am, the kickoff of the season, it wore out on me, and I was forced to go purchase a new one. And it's a CBE Tech Target, and it's a pretty handy little sight. I really like it. So,
do you ever shoot without a sight?
I have. Yes. There used to be a bare bow class here that in the 3D were 2 or 3 guys that shoot. I never did compete in it, but it was popular for a little while. I will, from time to time, I'll take the sight off of my bow and focus on my shot with some blank bailing, but that's about the extent of shooting without a sight for me.
Do you, so you must pretty much prefer compound shooting. Why do you prefer compound?
No particular reason other than that's what I got started with, and they're 2 separate forms. And I've always said that if I ever get to where I'm done with a compound, I'll take up the other and try to master that, the traditional side of it. But right now, I haven't got my fill of a compound, so I'm still at it.
Well, they do fly really nice.
Yes. And I have the utmost respect for people who are proficient with a recurve, because I know that is another certain skill set.
I had a compound shooter at the range, the local club, and he was like, yeah, let me try out the recurve. And he's like, wow, this is like harder than I thought. He was kind of all, okay, I have to say, a little ego about his own shooting.
Right.
And it sort of brought him down to earth a little.
Nothing like a good dose of humble pie every now and then.
Totally.
And you shoot either one of them long enough, and you're eventually going to taste it.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So,
What has been your most humbling situation?
oh gosh, that's quite the story.
Oh.
Oh man. Oh, there's several.
Oh.
I could,
Pick your best one.
as far as, and this pertains to the mental side of archery.
Mm-hmm.
I started out shooting in the local bow hunter class, which is in 3D, that's a 35-yard max class with fixed pins and screw-in tips. And I shot that for one season and got really good at it. And actually, I loved shooting pins. And the shop that I was shooting for decided that, oh, I don't know, if several years ago on Archery Talk, there was a big thread about bow hunters being sandbaggers and this and that and whatever. So the guy that was running the shop told me, okay, it's time for you to move up. We don't want you giving the shop a bad name. That put me into the open class, and I shot pretty well there. It really started to take off. And then in 2007, I went to my first ASA tournament in Paris, Texas. I think I had a 6th place finish there and won like, oh, $160 or something like that, and thought I'd really done something. And then the next one I went to was Metropolis, Illinois, and I had a 7th place finish there. And that put me over the limit of winnings and kicked me out of Open C. Well, I thought, boy, I've really done something here. Next year I'm going to step up. So I, thinking that I was all that, stepped into the semi-pro class for the next year. And boy, did I get humbled. Mm-hmm. I think I shot 4 or 5 tournaments in that class that year, and really came to realize that I was in no way, shape, or form ready for that class. And it really started eating at my confidence. So I went to the federation director at that time, who was none other than D. Fawkes. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, D, I really messed up. I'd like to drop back to Open B and come back up through the classes like I was supposed to and try to rebuild my confidence. He said, well, I can only let you drop back one class this year, and that is to Open A. If you don't win any money in that class, then next year we'll move you back down to Open B and let you come back up through it. So what do? I go to my last shoot of the year and I cash a check in Open A. So that next year, that kept me in Open A. Mm-hmm. And I competed. I shot all the ASA tournaments that year. I had a top 5 finish in Florida. I won the Mississippi shoot at Hattiesburg. Ended up 8th overall in shooter of the year that year, and had shot my way out of that class and back into semi-pro. So the difference for me there was, this time I felt like, and I knew that I had earned my way there and that I actually belonged there. Mm-hmm. The first time that I tried there, I always felt like, oh, do I really belong here? That is a class that you cannot compete in with that kind of doubt. Yeah. So I stayed in that class. I was in that class for 4 years until I basically aged out of it. Mm-hmm. But that was my humbling experience, thinking that I was all that and being shown that, no, you're really not. And that was the year that I had to learn how to be bottom of the barrel, third place. So it was a humbling year for sure. And it taught me a lot about me that year.
Sounds like it was a good experience to go through.
It was a really good experience in hindsight. I didn't like it at the time, I can tell you that. But it taught me a lot. I've learned so much about me through archery that, archery's way more than just shooting a bow in my eyes. I mean, it's a way of life. It's, there's just so much there to be learned. So,
where have you traveled for competing?
Oh gosh. I haven't traveled anywhere out of the United States. I've been to, let's see, Kentucky, Illinois, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Kansas, Iowa. I think that's about it.
You'll have to pick a tournament in every state so that it's sometime you can say, hey, I've done every single state in the United States.
Oh, that'd be cool. That would be really cool.
What's the craziest weather day you've had shooting in?
Oh, wow. Well, that's there's been more than one. I'd say the craziest day ever was I shot here locally at I believe it was the Midwest NFA Sectionals Field Archery Tournament. And I can remember we were standing at the 80-yard downhill and we had sideways rain.
Wow.
And we were far enough into the tournament that we had like 6 targets to go. And rather than bail out of it, we just toughed it out and shot through it. Other than that, I'd say 112 degrees in Metropolis was pretty crazy one year.
Oof.
With 98% humidity. And I've also shot, we have a local shoot here. Usually it's around the first part of February, and they call it the snow shoot. And I've shot in 10 inches of snow and 15 degrees.
Whoa.
That makes for an interesting day.
Oh, yeah. You're wearing jackets and stuff, and the string gets caught in the jacket.
Right. And if you're kind of like that kid on the Christmas Story when his mom bundles him all up, that's kind of what you feel like.
I feel like an Eskimo.
Right.
And your fingers are falling off. Oh, yeah. So you have to pull out your arrows. And did you have hand warmers with you?
Oh, yes. Gloves, mittens, hand warmers.
Hot chocolate.
Oh, yeah. And if my wife goes with me, there's no shortage of hand warmers.
Oh, awesome. What great archery books have you read?
Oh, gosh. I've read some of I wouldn't say, it's not necessarily an archery book, but it pertains. Lanny Basham's With Winning in Mind is a good one that I've read. Mind Gym by Gary Mack, that's a good one. I've read Bernie Pellerite's book, Idiot Proof Archery, and Larry Weiss's Core Archery.
Idiot Proof Archery?
I think that's the name of it. It's been so long.
That's cool. Right. It's kind of like, there's probably a book out there that says The Dummy's Guide to Archery.
Right. Sometimes I just wish when you step up to the line, you could have an instant lobotomy. So you could just stand there and just shoot. Don't think about it. Just shoot.
Well, isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yes. Yes, you are, as a matter of fact. There are a lot of different things to keep you in that moment, but it doesn't always happen.
Well, our whole school system and culture does not train us to be like that, to be in the moment and let distractions go by.
Right. As far as distractions when you're shooting, there's a myriad of things that can go on.
Mm-hmm.
But I shoot a little indoor from time to time, and years ago, in 2008, I went to a Michael Braden seminar and learned quite a bit there on shot sequence and mindset and how to use your shot sequence to keep you in the moment. And at the time, I was a sponge soaking up everything I could soak up. And, you really don't, in the moment, you really don't think about how much of that stuff that you actually retain.
Mm.
But standing on the line, um, past year, or this, it was December, I shot the Kansas City shootout in the first time I'd shot the senior pro class indoors. And I'm standing on the line next to some pretty good names. And the nerves hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I could do to keep myself in that moment was go back to that shot sequence and concentrate on that and my breathing. Otherwise, I'd have been a basket case.
it it's really cool in this sport that we can stand next to world champions, Olympians, and on the shooting line together. I don't know if there's any other sport where you could actually really do that, except maybe guns.
I think you're right there. I mean, I hadn't considered the firearms end of it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, at that particular shoot on my first day, I shot right next to Jeff Hopkins,
Mm-hmm.
and probably one of the all-time greats in 3D. And to watch him shoot, you're not supposed to look at his target, and you're supposed to focus on your own, but you can't help. You look.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like in your vision down there.
Right, right. And then on the second day, I stood next to and shot next to Art Brown,
Mm-hmm.
and same situation. I couldn't tell you how many times he's won Shooter of the Year in ASA. And you never know. I mean, this weekend in Foley, Alabama, um, I got to hold the umbrella for Jesse Broadwater as he shot the shoot down. So, you know, it's cool that our sport, you're rubbing elbows with the best at any time.
Oh yeah.
It's cool to figure out, and you get to talking to them. They're just you know regular people, just like we are.
Mm-hmm.
So,
When it comes to food, like what kind of food you eat on the day of a shoot, and how does it impact your thinking
you know, um,
and your shooting abilities too?
I'm not much of a breakfast person per se. My weekly routine is that first cup of coffee in the morning. My feet hit the floor. I'm running out the door to work. I go. But when tournament day comes,
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago, it was actually Coach D was working with me a little bit, and he insisted you got to go eat a good breakfast. So come tournament day, I always make sure to have a good breakfast, which that usually consists of bacon and eggs, or you know a banana, maybe a bowl of cereal or something. But I always make sure to have something, because you get out there, and especially in my class and at my age, 20 targets doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it may take 4 hours to do that. And you need to have uh, something to run on during that 4 hours.
That's actually expending a lot of energy. I
It
mean, you're
is.
pulling back a string how many times in 4 hours, and then you're walking. It seems like such a sport where you're not doing anything compared to like soccer or basketball, where people are just dripping in sweat with, running.
It's more of a longevity thing,
Hmm.
uh, an
Endurance.
endurance would be the yeah.
Yeah.
So, and especially in the heat, that could
Yeah, you don't
that take it out of you.
realize how, yeah, I get dehydrated.
Yep, you gotta have lots of water, and I always try to take a bottle of Gatorade with me or something,
Gatorade has a lot of sugar in it.
and I always pack something, protein bars. I hate them. I hate the taste of them, but my wife makes me pack them.
Hmm.
I'd rather have Nutter Butters or something like that, but something to munch on, trail mix or something like that. I always keep in my chair just to give me that, when I feel myself, you know, getting fatigued, I'll do it, munch a snack down and kind of pick me up, help me get me through the rest of the shoot. Uh,
I
I
find beef jerky gets me going when I need it.
it I love beef jerky. I never think of it though.
you, do a tournament checklist and write
Right?
down food items, and then you can go, all right, yes, I'm going to bring it with me.
I have a hard time with my shot sequence sometimes, let alone a checklist. But fortunately,
Hey,
usually there's somebody on the range that has some beef jerky, so I'm usually good.
you just gave me an idea. If, take the shot sequence, put some tape on it, and put it on the back of the archer standing next to you so you can look at it.
Is that kind of like the white tape that I put on my bow from time to time that reminds me to pull?
That's awesome.
Oh man.
What do you do if your equipment breaks?
I try to pack. That's one thing I do a pretty good once over of my stuff. Excuse me. Before I head out for a big tournament. But I
Okay, should add beef jerky to that
add
once
beef.
over.
Okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
do that. I'll write that down.
Actually, put white tape on your bow saying beef jerky.
There we go.
Yeah,
So, but
that might just make you hungry.
part of my problem is, and maybe one of the reasons I fatigue is because I pack so much stuff in my shooter chair.
Hmm.
I'll have enough, I'll have D-loop material and serving material and hot glue and wrenches and pliers and scissors and anything that I can rob off of my bench and pack in the chair goes with me. So not only if I have a problem, but if somebody else has one, I'm more than likely to have something to fix it. So that's one thing I do prepare for.
Maybe during non-shooting times, I don't mean like at a tournament, but when you're at home, is go for a hike with your stuff to build up your endurance stuff, meaning your archery equipment that you carry with you when you're shooting.
Oh, that'd be too much like work.
Oh, yeah.
I'm joking. I sit in the machine all day long. It does the work for me. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
but I actually get quite a bit of exercise during hunting season,
Hmm.
and I carry a pretty good backpack there. So, but I would say my shooter stool probably weighs 25 pounds time I get it all loaded up, and it's backpackable too. So,
Oh, that's cool. It, it's amazing though, just 25 pounds, how heavy that actually is. And that I'm just saying that because I'll walk to the store, which is about a mile away or half a mile away, to just buy some stuff and come back. And I just decided to do that instead of driving. Just heck, if I'm going to go to the store, I can, get a little exercise. I bring a backpack with me, and there's an item that I bought, several items, $15. I'm walking home going, I bet you this weighs 15 pounds.
If it doesn't, it feels like it by the end.
Yeah. Well, when I got home, I weighed it and I was like, oh, it's only 10 pounds. Like, I've done outdoor hiking and stuff when in my 20s, and I think our backpacks were like 60 or 70 pounds. So I'm thinking, this can't be all that heavy. It's like, 10 pounds, really.
It's I don't know. I can remember doing road marches in the military with 80 pounds on my back that didn't feel this bad. But I was only 19, so
I think we were in better shape, too.
way better.
What branch were you in the military?
I was in the Army.
Oh, okay. What did you do?
I was actually a radio teletype operator.
Oh, that's neat.
So I sat in a little green box on the back of a pickup truck and typed in coded teletype message. So on ticker tape. It's obsolete now.
Yeah, I know. I I wish that some things they wouldn't just, get rid of. Sometimes the things that are just simple, basic, non-high tech are probably more powerful and durable. But I don't know about everything, but probably a few things out there.
Oh yeah, think about when you go to the grocery store. If it goes down, nobody knows how to count change out anymore.
That's a good point.
I never did know. I never had enough fingers and toes.
What were your earlier challenges?
Let's see.
That'd be in archery.
I'm trying to think. Oh gosh. Holding steady was a big challenge. I worked on that a lot in the beginning.
What poundage bow did they start you out with?
I started out with 60-pound bow.
Okay.
But I was, back then I think I was 28, 29 years old, so that it wasn't an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I've shot a 60-pound bow most all the way through my archery career. But the biggest challenge was at the time was figuring out what my correct draw length was, because that's a huge thing in being able to hold steady. That has to be correct. So
Especially with a compound bow.
right. And then you have to have your mass weight, match your holding weight, and all that. And,
Mm-hmm.
that can really take you down a rabbit hole. But
You can hold the string back, but man, holding the bow.
right,
Yeah.
we were pretty. There was a few of us that shot together a lot, and we were pretty fortunate in that we started out going down to a local club that had a 14 target field range. On Saturdays, we'd all meet down there with our hunting bows, and we were introduced to field archery. And the next thing you know, we're all looking for faster, smoother triggers to shoot, right?
Mm-hmm.
To try and get that wild arrow to go in the dot at 80 yards. And the guy that was running the pro shop took us off to the side and said, "Look, guys, you're doing this all wrong." And he introduced us to hinge releases. So early on, we all started shooting a hinge release and kind of, figured out how to shoot before we really developed bad target panic.
Mm-hmm.
And that came later on. But that was probably one of the biggest challenges was learning how to shoot that and hold steady.
Hmm. Well, hey, there you go, listeners. I just took half a page of notes. I'll have the show notes at theflyingarcher.com, and you can follow Jim on. Jim has a Facebook page, which is James M. and then his last name Frazier. He also has a Twitter, which is his Twitter handle MRPIBB47. And then the Bow Dudes have a Facebook page, The Bow Dudes. And Twitter for the Bow Dudes podcast is at Bow Dudes, BOWDUDES. And their website is www.bowdudes.com. What is the craziest thing that happened when you were shooting?
Oh, wow. I would say that that's quite the story too.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
I had been shooting an ultra elite, and I was shooting it pretty well. And I had taken it to Florida and had a 4th place finish with it. And all the while I was waiting on my new shooter bow to come in. And it came in on the Wednesday before the next tournament, which was Hattiesburg. And everybody that I talked to said, don't do it. Don't take that bow. You're crazy. Don't take it. So what did I do is I went and I set it up. I got it on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I set it up Wednesday night. Thursday, I sighted it in 8 inches of snow here at the house. And Friday, I drove to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and shot the bow all weekend, and ended up winning the tournament with that bow. That was pretty crazy thing to do, and it was pretty crazy of me to do it. So now,
what did your friends say after that?
Not a lot. In fact, they still give me a hard time about it, because I always tell them I'm trying to order my bow so it comes in before the tournament. So they give me a pretty hard time, though, and you'll hear a lot of that on the Bow Dudes.
Oh, that's wonderful. What are you thinking about while you're on the shooting line shooting?
Making the best shot I can make. One of the things that I learned from the Michael Braden seminar was to judge it the best that you can judge it, because I shoot an unknown distance class. Mm-hmm. Come up with the best number you can come up with, believe in it, and make the best shot you can make. And don't think about the outcome.
So you missed the target completely. Then what do you do?
You forget it and go on to the next, because you don't have any control over that when it's already gone.
You've hit the target, and then what you do? Same thing. Oh, I just answered it for you.
Exactly. So that was one of the tougher things I had to learn, was to let go of a bad shot. Mm-hmm. And just, there was a time that it would, if I'd shoot a bad shot and have a bad result, that I could, it could be the next 4 or 5 targets before I'd actually come out of that and settle down and start shooting again. But just for instance, I had 3 bad shots in a row this past weekend in Foley. They weren't bad shots. They were bad yardage numbers. I guessed wrong. And there wasn't anything I could do about it. Just accept it for what it was and move on to the next one. So, and that took a long time to be able to do that without getting upset. So,
well, congratulations on getting there. That's really powerful.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It took a long time. It's not my personality to be that way. I can tell you that. Mm-hmm. So, what I learned, though, the biggest thing that I I could say that I've learned in archery over the years is, and this one took me a while to learn too, was how you shoot on Sunday does not necessarily, and in no way, shape, or form, determine who you are. And the only person that you're really letting down is yourself, because nobody else really holds you to that standard. You're the one that holds you to that standard. So don't be so hard on yourself. Learn from it and go on.
That is great advice. I work with a lot of people, and most everybody is like beats themselves up if they've not quite where they want the arrow to go. And over time, I help people, get away from that. But your advice is that's hits the nail right there.
Well, it's absolutely true. I mean, you get caught up in. It's really easy to get caught up in. Oh, how do I want to say this? Did it, yourself speak can be controlled by how you score. What you think of yourself, and it quite frankly isn't true. I mean, because how I shoot that bow isn't who I am, and there's more to it than where you end up. There's the whole archery experience is what's really important, because you meet. I've been all over the United States shooting. I've made some of the best friends all over the United States, and the guys that you shoot with in your group, you may shoot with a top guy in your group, you may shoot with the bottom guy in your group, but I don't judge either one of those people based on how they shoot. It's how we get along, and do we have a good time, and that's the real reasons you're there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I have to look at it anymore.
Do you think would you have any thoughts on how to practice this mindset that you just described when you're not out shooting, to sort of help you continue thinking that way when you are shooting?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought of it in that manner.
And the reason why the thought just came to me is archery is huge mindset. So, but if I back it up to form, if you practice a form incorrectly and then you go and you shoot, then you're not going to do it correctly because you do how you practiced.
Right.
And under stress, you'll go back to basic behavior of what you learned during non-stress. So just thinking about the mental part.
Man, that's such a huge rabbit hole. And we cover a lot of that in the Bow Dudes.
Cool.
I
then share some.
I
have an idea.
I like to get. I like to get into. I don't like to put too much pressure on myself. I like to go in with as least amount of expectations that I can. Because I tend to I shoot best when I'm relaxed and having a good time. One of the things I try to do when I get to my stake in the morning and I meet the guys in the group, I like to introduce myself, chit chat a little bit, find out who they are, where they're from, what they do for a living, just and relax, and I'll tell them, look, guys, I'm not only here to shoot and shoot well, I'm here to have a good time. And you're either going to like me in 15 minutes or you're going to want to run me out of the group. So I'm going to have a good time regardless of how you are. So that's how I try to keep myself in that moment. And if I can stay relaxed and keep doing what I do at home, it usually turns out pretty well. It's when I overthink it, and that'll get me stressed. It's when I try too hard. If you just go at it with the mindset of, hey, this is what you've practiced for. You know how to do this. Just do what you do, and don't overthink it. One of my mottos you'll hear me say on the Bow Dudes a lot, and it's my tagline, is shut up and shoot. It's just shoot your bow. You know how to do it, or you wouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the best way I know how to answer that, Lucy.
So the shut up is more as like your inner talk.
Yeah.
Telling it to, all right, be quiet.
Yep.
Rather than telling yourself to stop talking out loud. I mean, I don't know if you're an out loud talker while you're shooting.
No, I'm not. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times I'll tell myself, shut up and shoot mentally. Mm-hmm. Just, especially if I'm frustrated,
Yep.
So, and a lot of it is it's kind of that phrase is kind of a joke to, you see some of these guys that talk about what they're going to go do and how they're going to go do it. And it's like, oh, really? Don't tell me, show me. Mm-hmm. So, but the whole mental side of it, man, that's huge. You've heard the saying 90% of the game's half mental.
Yep.
That's very true. You can kill yourself before you even get to the tournament.
Yeah. Well, so what this is teaching you, or anybody doing archery, is the mental talk, which also helps you have less stress. And then you take that out into the world, regular everyday life. You drive into work, somebody cuts you off, and you've trained yourself to go, okay, that just happened. Wow, I'm not actually angry at them. So you've reduced stress, you've reduced your blood pressure, you're actually healthier of doing archery.
I'll go with that. Yeah, that sounds great. It's probably not me, but yeah.
The next time you get cut off, you're going to think of this podcast.
I will for sure.
But there are things like that you can really work at in your life. That, not you particularly, Jim, but you know what I mean.
Pick your battle.
Pick your battle. Heck, you could go into work and decide how you want your self-talk when you walk into work. Like, you might have just had a bad morning, no hot water for some stupid reason, or the heat went out and you're just not in that happy mood, or the coffee maker didn't work. Sorry if that would be hard for you, Jim. And so as you're walking into work, you can decide, okay, how do I want to think? Or shut up, because you've been irritated at yourself in your mind for like 10 minutes, and you go, you know what? I'm going to say whatever self-talk helps. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to have a great day. You might have to repeat it 100 times in your mind, but by doing that, it changes the way you're thinking. People kind of want to be around you. You're decreasing your stress, and so actually you're healthier.
Or I could just say, shut up and do your job, Frazier. So that'd be probably more along my lines, but it's the same outcome, different journey to get there.
It's a way of making a decision how you and what you want to think.
Jim Forbes is one of the Bow Dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's right now listening to, reading, and studying up on all of Troy Basham and Lanny Basham's stuff, and soaking up any of that he can get. And he would be a good guy to talk to about that kind of stuff. I understand the concept, and I use it, but I'm not as well versed in. I can't quote it verbatim like he can.
Oh,
But
you've got it down. You're like, shut up. And you just told your mind to stop beating yourself up.
um,
I think it's perfect.
we go back. We're funny because we go back and forth on that. We both believe it,
Hmm. But
and
you
and
really do it.
and we both use it.
Yeah.
We just do it in different ways.
Hmm.
And he's more of an analytical, logical thinker. I'm more of a, oh gosh, for lack of a better way to put it, a Zen type. I shoot for the feeling of it. You know,
Yeah.
so and if things are feeling right, you can get caught up in, oh, how do they put it? What do they say? In the zone.
Well, it's meditation.
It is. I can be having one of the worst days and come home and pick up this bow, and in 10 minutes I've forgot about my day because I'm shooting and I'm focused on it. So that leads you right back around to archery being more than just shooting a bow.
You're actually shooting an arrow.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I just had to pick on you.
Well,
But yeah, it is. It totally is.
um, man, I recommend anybody to, at some point in their life, take it up. Uh, it's very therapeutic. It's very maddening. um,
And also get a good teacher, because I have, can be a coach, could be someone who's not certified but's been doing it for a while. I have had students or people that I just talked to, oh yeah, I would never do archery ever again because I whacked my arm when I was a kid doing it. So,
right.
um, and you can with the string, and that can happen. But if the instructor or person who's working with you doesn't notice that and doesn't help you out, then you don't realize, you know, archery is not about pain. It should be actually painless.
Right.
And you've missed out on the beauty of it.
And you're absolutely right on getting started off right. Over the years of working in the bow shops, you know, for lack of a better way to put it, somebody comes in and you look at them and you say, well, you're shooting a draw length that's 2 inches too long for you.
Mm.
Because they'll come in with a problem and you try to fix it and you say, well, your draw length's too long. Well, I've been shooting that way for 20 years.
Oh, this is with a compound bow.
Uh huh. And you
Yeah.
want to turn around and say, well, been shooting bad for 20 years. But you can't because you're in a customer oriented area. You have to pick and
Yeah.
choose how you talk about that. But, you know, um, I'd say getting started off, getting with an instructor or somebody that actually knows what they're doing to get you started off right will save a lot of misery down the road. So I would agree with you 110% on that one.
Oh, thank you.
You're quite welcome.
I just going to ask outright, what do you have? Do you have any mental tricks to keep yourself focused?
I do, as a matter of fact. Um, and it's my breathing. One of the things that I do to keep me in that moment is, and I learned this going through that seminar,
Mm-hmm.
was when I draw my bow, I inhale as much oxygen as I can as I'm drawing the bow. As soon as I come to full draw, I exhale completely and take in half a breath. What that does is it oxygenates your lungs with the big deep breath in. And then when you take that half a breath in, you store oxygen to keep you in, that will allow you, it will keep your shot from breaking down as quick with a compound.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that, just that part of my shot sequence is the final thing that I think about. And that's what keeps me in the moment.
Do you have any mental tricks that you offer to other archers that you work with?
No, just basically what we've already discussed. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it all depends on the level of archer that you're talking to, because I tend to want to fix all their problems all at once. So I have to be careful on
That
how.
could be a little overwhelming.
Yes, yeah, you don't want to be overwhelming, and it's hard to, especially when you're teaching compound, because it's also connected that this leads to this, leads to that, leads to this, leads to that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not careful, you can throw out too much stuff and confuse somebody. So you have to
Yep.
really concentrate on, okay, you have to figure out where's this person at in their archery to begin with, and how much information do we actually want to throw out there and give them to think about right now.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like once you master that, then we'll go on. Or you know, sometimes it's a matter of you might work with somebody and pick out one little thing that you see that they're not. And one of the hard parts for me is I can look at somebody and see what I think's wrong and explain to them how to fix it, but I have nobody to look at me and tell me what they see.
Hmm.
And that's a hard deal there as well, because in order to do that, you have to take ego out of it.
Yes.
And ego can be the biggest thing that stops you a lot of times. And I will just say this: that's a huge deal for me. I struggle with it, with the ego of, well, that guy ain't gonna tell me nothing. I've done da 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 da.
Yep.
So, like, and D's a person that I will go to when I don't know something or when I'm struggling. Because he has a way of talking talking me down off a ledge, or putting it in a way that, okay, this, but in the way he says it, it may not be something that I was thinking about, and it helps. So, you know,
Yeah, Coach D has a way of knowing where you're at, not just with the form, but mentally.
yes,
I was going for my level 4 at the Olympic Training Center, and which is intense. Um, and he was one of my coaches, and I was at a point where I was just like overwhelmed, and I'm like, I just need a break, and and he was able just to talk with me and actually say, all right, Lucy, go take a break. And so I went off and disappeared for about an hour, um, and came back and felt I was just like ready. Um, but it's those subtle things that a good coach can see in somebody. It's like, oh, that person just needs just this little tweak to help them mentally, or just this little thing, a calm word, or go chill out for a little while. But you're
yeah,
right. He can, yeah,
and it's not cookie cutter. Everybody's different,
yep.
and like it's just like you said. A good coach will recognize that, and be able to adapt to the person that they're talking to. Um, you know, D is I call him my coach.
Hmm.
It's something that's really informal, but if I have an issue, he always knows what to say, because he knows where I've been, what I'm capable of, and it's usually something along the lines of, Just go do your deal. Just go do what you do and don't worry about nobody else. Or this is the mindset you need to have going into this.
Yep.
And that helps a ton.
Oh, it does.
You can work yourself into frenzy pretty easy. Sometimes all it takes is that one person to say, hey.
Have you ever tried the style of archery called kudo?
No, I have not. I don't believe I've even heard of that.
It's a Japanese style. The bow is made out of, it's called something else. There's a Japanese name for the bow and for the arrow. The bow is made out of like bamboo, and there's a whole tradition of how you set up before you actually shoot. And the bow is huge, tall, really big.
I've seen them. I didn't know what it was called. One of my good friends is a Ryukyu Kenpo karate instructor here in town, and I used to study under him years ago. And he's been trying to get me to come over there and watch a guy do that. One of his instructors trains in all of the Okinawan weaponry, and so I want to go over and watch him do that. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh, it's pretty amazing, and it's really mental. I went to a 2-day workshop at the Zen Mountain Monastery in New York, where they offer different workshops and stuff, and you're actually integrated in with the monks, so you sit and meditate with them. I'm not a meditator, so that was like a crash course of sitting with the monks.
What was going through your head?
Well, what they first do is they actually bring you into a room when you first arrive, and you get checked in, and then evening meditation, the brand new people starting a new workshop go in a separate room from where the monks are, and there's a monk that actually teaches you how to do Zen meditation. And then the next morning you actually have an assigned spot in the room where the monks are, and you sit there with them. What was going through my mind? Everything. I could not stop thinking. And I guess you're supposed to calm your mind or something, and I could not stop moving either. Like I'm sitting, I'm not doing a full lotus because I am just not built that way.
Right.
But I did my best, and I sat there, and you do that for 45 minutes, and then you stand, you walk, and then you actually sit the other way and facing the other way. And what was really amazing was, even though I couldn't really stop my flow of thinking, and I was very fidgety, but I felt calmer after an hour and a half of meditating.
Right.
Then the next day, one of the monks came up to me and goes, if you're in pain or something, why don't you get a chair? I'm like, oh, I'm bugging them because I'm moving and they're like right behind me. So I sat there and I did not move. I was able to meditate, so to speak, with better form. And not moving my body around to kind of fidget and get comfortable, it was actually easier. It was like fighting it was more challenging. I didn't realize that. But since then, I actually bought my own cushion to meditate on. And if you ever go to one of these events where you're at a Zen mountain monastery like there, and you're going to actually meditate with the monks, invest in a cushion, because the cushion I have is brand new one that I have is not painful. The one they have, I guess, has been used a lot and it's just not comfortable.
Right.
But when the day 2, when we were doing shooting, first day was off for him, and I think it was end of day 2 when we started shooting. We did short distance, and there's pictures of me on my blog, theflyingarcher.com, and different places on my Facebook. Then we also did long distance. Now with the long distance, the instructors had us go up, like up to the shooting line and shoot, but they stepped aside and let us do the whole etiquette and form with them not there. Now I load the bow and I raise it up and it falls. There's no arrow rest. I mean, this is like totally non-compound shooting. This is like bare bow shooting to the bare bone, kind of thing.
Right.
And then it fell again, and I was just getting so frustrated, mad, that I wanted that arrow to fly out of that bow. And so I called they're actually called senseis, and I called one of the sensei over, and I said, look, I just need you to talk to me. Just talk me through, because I just needed someone to calm me down.
Right.
I guess I shouldn't have to have someone else help me, but at that point I did. And so one of the senseis came over and he just talked to me a little bit and guided, I don't remember what he said, but I was able to do it and got the arrow to actually fly, which was, or did it? Or maybe I'm making that up. I don't think it went very far, actually, because I wasn't very pleased. And then I stepped back and I was just, oh God, I was really irritated. And what I learned from that is, yeah, I'm really actually quite competitive. I was like, wow. If you see that, so I had someone take a couple of pictures, and I'm at full draw. I raised the bow. The bow actually comes up above your head, and if you look at my face in the picture, you can see intense concentration. Well, I was really, really annoyed with that. That's what my facial expression was. But it's total down to the core, a mental sport.
Oh, for sure. And I think all aspects of it are. All of the different styles are mental, have a lot of the mental side of it.
I tell you, if you took a kudo class, your compound shooting would rise to a new level.
It's funny you should say that, because my sensei here has been telling me that. And in my, I'm thinking it's got nothing to do with it. They're two different animals. How could I possibly learn anything from that? But now that you've said that, I'll reconsider it. No. So.
Oh, it is one. The equipment is two total different animals. You'll feel things with your compound bow that you don't right now. After doing the kudo class.
Well, it just goes to show you can teach an old dog new tricks, I reckon.
I mean, I could be totally wrong. It'd be interesting.
One will never know until they try.
Yeah.
I'm game.
Cool. When are you going to sign up? No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, I'll probably text him about it tonight.
Well, yeah, let us know how that goes. We'll definitely do another podcast with you.
Hey, that was not a bad idea.
What it was like for the compound shooter to go and do a kudo class.
Actual Zen archery.
Actual Zen archery. And he'll realize how much Zen he actually has from shooting compound bows. That sounded good.
Yeah, I'll agree.
What got you into the amazing sport of archery?
Just like I was talking about earlier, I just wanted more time in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the addiction started, was just wanting to hunt. and be in the timber. And gosh, it was so much simpler back then. So it I honestly, I never dreamed that when I got that first bow that it would lead me to this and and shape things in my life that it has. And I'm really grateful for the sport of archery. And as the state director for Missouri, that was an eye-opening experience as well. And because as a competitor, you know what it takes to compete and compete at the level that you want to compete at. Mm-hmm. And going from a competitor to someone who is in charge of an organization, you start to see who's in it for what.
Oh yeah, totally.
That was very eye-opening for me. It's caused me to grow a lot thicker skin to things. And, archery's been really good to me over the years. And one of the reasons I took the job as the director was I wanted to give back. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those thankless jobs, but you got to go know that going into it. But I get as much out of it now in just giving back.
How long have you been the state director?
I'm in my second year of it now.
Okay.
I've been an area representative since 2007. And I was really wrapped up at the time in my own archery career and trying to get to the top and focused on that to where I really didn't put much into being an area rep other than, hey, you guys ought to have an ASA shoot. And then I'd pass the word along. Mm-hmm. And to be quite honest, I really wasn't. Back then, I was in no way, shape, or form of a mindset to be good at the job. And I had to mature in my archery career to get to that point. And now it's pretty rewarding, to see a state go from, we've gone from 2 or 3 qualifiers per year to 11 last year, 9 so far this year, with more on the way.
Wow.
And it's really cool to see some of your own shooters in your state that are going and shooting national level stuff, compete at a high level, and come home, come back to Missouri and support the state and support the organization. I mean, I couldn't do what I do as a director without the help of the shooters and without their support. They're the ones that come and support the clubs and whatever. So that's where I get it back. It's I contact the clubs and do the networking there and set up the qualifiers and whatever. But when the shooters actually come, that's what makes it for me, to see that part of it grow.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for the work you're doing. I appreciate it.
Hey, I enjoy it, and you're quite welcome.
How would you describe what it feels like to shoot an arrow, and this would be to someone who has never shot before?
Oh, wow. That's the thing that keeps me doing it.
Oh, cool. Do tell.
I just love to see that arrow fly. Mm-hmm. It's
okay. Hold on a second. How do you see the arrow fly when it's going at 60 pounds? coming from your bow?
I can see it go through. If I shoot a perfect shot,
Mm-hmm.
I can see that arrow go through my scope
Okay.
for just a split second. You see that arrow, and you can. I shoot a really bright green fletchings, and I can see it almost all the way to the target. So, in the right conditions, you can see the whole thing, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. And that's what I love to see that arrow fly, and that's what keeps me doing it. So.
I had this one shot where it almost felt like time slowed down. I don't know, sounds weird, but I was like standing there watching the arrow just kind of circulate as it was flying towards the target. Only saw like a split second basically, but it felt like it was longer than that.
You can really see the bad ones.
I know.
Those are the ones I don't like to see.
Whoa, Jim, the time has just flown by. You've been an awesome guest. Thank you.
Well, I hope I've contributed.
I would like to give you the last word. Could you give us a pearl of wisdom or inspiration that you would like to share with us?
Shut up and shoot.
Shut up and shoot.
That's my tagline on the bow dudes.
That's awesome.
But man, just get out there and do it and have fun. Don't be intimidated by the sea of shooter shirts and whatever. 90% of us, 95, 98% of us out there wearing those shooter shirts are more than happy to take the time to stop and talk to you and help you any way we can. Just enjoy it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Jim, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
And all the links, websites, and resources from this podcast will be posted on our website, theflyingarcher.com. And thank you.
Cool.
Awesome. You were fun to talk to.
Well, thank you. You got the edited version of me. I'm just a old Missouri redneck that's picked up a bow and had fun in the process. And for you to ask me, I was really floored. I thought, who the hell wants to talk to me about archery? So I was honored that you asked.
Oh, thank you.
So
I'm very honored that you accepted.